Good morning, brothers and sisters. Have you shouted for joy yet? Have you ever thought that any moment can be the most beautiful, the most valuable, and the most unforgettable? It's true. The moment you're with the Lord is the most beautiful. Why? For the Lord is the most beautiful Son of God in the whole universe. He is the most beautiful lover of our souls. And when you are with the most beautiful and the most glorious Son of Man, then it is the most precious moment in your life. We have to shout for joy, for it is that every moment, in this second, you draw near to the Lord. The moment that you're with Him, then it is the best moment, the most precious moment. Not only you find it is the most glorious and the precious moment, and even the Lord Himself also cherishes this very moment when you're with Him. I'd like to sing a very good song with you. I sing Songs of Love too, Song 164. By you, the best is now. Shall we sing this hymn slowly? I can't imagine this hymn so well, for there are some notes that are very high. But I really enjoy singing this song, and I experience that this moment is very precious indeed. When we're singing, remember, take notice that the Lord is present with us. He's very attentive to hear our singing. He's listening to our prayers, and He knows what our feelings are. Even though we're singing, the Lord knows our desire in our hearts. Not only He can hear, and He can feel our love to Him. Let us sing this hymn. By you, the best is now. For you, better than all. I'm not ashamed when I relied on you. By you, I will rejoice. I once believed the past better than now, and I forgot you were with me now. Your love is surrounding me. You're loving me and raising me. Your love has never changed, for you were better than all. For you, the best is now. I hope you have time to quiet yourself and respond to Him, or you can sing another hymn to worship the Lord. Let's have some time to be with Him face to face. You can stop the recording and we'll read the Bible when you're done. May the Lord bless you. Brothers and sisters, we'll read in the third letter of John, chapter 1, verse 1 to verse 14. The elder to Gaius, the beloved, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be healthy, even as your soul prospers. For I rejoiced greatly when brothers came and testified about your truth, even as you walk in truth. I had no greater joy than this, to hear about my children walking in truth. Beloved, you do a faithful work in whatever you accomplish for those who are brothers and strangers. They have testified about your love before the assembly. You will do well to send them forward on their journey in a way worthy of God, because for the sake of the name they went out, taking nothing from the Gentiles. We therefore ought to receive such, that we may be fellow workers for the truth. I wrote to the assembly, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first among them, doesn't accept what we say. Therefore, if I come, I will call attention to his deeds which he does, unjustly accusing us with wicked words. Not content with this, he doesn't receive the brothers himself, and those who would, he forbids and throws out of the assembly. Beloved, don't imitate that which is evil, but that which is good. He who does good is of God. He who does evil hasn't seen God. Demetrius has the testimony of all, and of the truth itself. Yes, we also testified, and you know that our testimony is true. I had many things to write to you, but I am unwilling to write to you with ink and pen. But I hope to see you soon. Then we will speak face to face. Peace be to you. The friends greet you. Greet the friends by name. As we have read the second letter of John before, and now we are coming to the third letter of John, we may notice the similarity between these two letters. They both talk about love and emphasize the importance of the truth and meeting people. John wrote both letters by eldership. The difference is that the second letter of John was written to one local church. John used the personification of addressing the church as the chosen lady and the brothers and sisters as children. Although John used the term children to refer to brothers and sisters in the third letter, he didn't write to a local church. As you can see in verse 1, he wrote to a brother instead. This brother was the beloved Gaius, whom he loved in truth. And there were two mentioned in this letter. One was Diotrephes, and the other was Demetrius. The second letter of John and the third letter of John were both family letters, but the third letter of John is more dynamic and is more interesting, because the content mentioned in it is more about the relationship between brothers and sisters, their lives, as well as the foreign ministry. John also greeted the health of Gaius and prayed that all things prosper in him, and even as his soul. It can be said that the third letter of John is more like a family letter than the second letter of John, for it shows us more about life in the house. John told the church not to receive those false prophets and those who preach false doctrines in the second letter of John. Yet it is unfair to paint everyone with a single brush. Hence, there is a third letter, the third letter of John, which was the supplement of the second letter of John. John praised Gaius for his truth, which testified about the truth and walked in the truth, and who was loving, receiving the brothers who went out to serve for the Lord's name and were willing to be strangers. John also encouraged him to continue to do so. On the other hand, he blamed Diotrephes for the reasons that not only he refused to welcome the brothers, but also put the brothers and sisters who wanted to welcome the strangers out of the church. This was a great mistake and was evil. Hence, the third letter of John has shown us we should have a balanced understanding of hospitality. It's good to read these two letters, the second and the third letter together. I felt the warmth and at home when reading these letters. These three people mentioned in the letter attract me for meditation. The first one is the loving Gaius. Second is the despicable Diotrephes. And thirdly is Demetrius, who had good deeds. John spoke to Gaius from verse 1 to verse 8, verse 9 to verse 10 about Diotrephes, who is a warning to us that we must not follow him. And the third one is Demetrius, mentioned in verse 11 and verse 12, who is our role model and the one we should learn from, just like Gaius. Let's talk about Gaius first, who was a very precious brother. John wrote a letter to him to praise him. In fact, there are several Gaius in the New Testament. For instance, there was a Gaius in Macedonia, written in the Acts of the Apostles. It also mentioned that there was one Gaius in Derbe, and another Gaius in Corinth. So was this Gaius one of the three just mentioned, or was he the fourth? We wouldn't have a clue, but we know for sure that this Gaius loved the Lord. First of all, it says his soul prospers in verse 2. That means he has a good soul. Of course, this is the first thing. We have to mind our soul whether it will prosper or not. But John also cared about the health of men. He blessed Gaius and liked Gaius to be in good health. Here I find John cared about the health of Gaius and reminded him to take care of his health. Maybe this brother, Gaius' physical health was not so good, yet his soul went well. So John reminded Gaius tack away to take care of his health. John appreciated his lively soul at the same time. I think John was sophisticated and smart. We may not like others to remind us to take care of our health directly, for we are concerned whether our bodies are healthy or not. If we express by hoping your health will be as prosperous as your soul, your body goes well just like your soul. Wow, you feel good and rejoice, because what you receive is praise rather than a reminder from others. I can say it was unique to greet somebody's health at the beginning of the letter in the New Testament. Didn't Paul care about the flesh? That was not the case. He also cared about the health of Timothy and greeted him the same way. Paul didn't say that he should be in good health physically, yet he affirmed that the body is important. Don't abuse your body. Don't destroy your body, because the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, where the Holy Spirit is dwelling. We have to nourish and cherish it. I have to remind you to take care of your body as well, eating well and nutritious food and doing regular exercise. Let us tread on the path of health. A joyful diet and a joyful fasting are good for your body. I can't help but give thanks to the Lord, for He has blessed my body. Obviously, my body has really improved a lot since I tread on the path of health, for bodily exercise has some value, but godliness has value in all things. Since bodily exercise has some value, godliness has value in all things. May we all exercise our souls more in the coming year. Not only enjoy eating well, we should enjoy life with the Lord joyously day to day. Brothers and sisters, the most essential for us to have a proper soul, a joyous spirit, and being with the Lord closely are a great help to your health. Besides, I think this brother Gaius was precious indeed, as the church was facing a lot of difficulties at that time. That was persecution from the Roman government. There were some false teachers who sneaked into the church and spread false doctrines as well. Gaius was a precious brother under such circumstances, who was strong in spirit, loving, and practiced truth. He supported those who served the Lord and were strangers for the name of the Lord. Not only was he loving, but he walked in truth and faith. His support was providing the needs for the brothers and sisters who worked hard for the Lord. But the most crucial was that he gave them recognition and trust. I think that was the most essential. Your support and trust are the backing for the brothers and sisters who go aboard and for those who are dedicated to continue moving forward. Truly, I treasure many brothers and sisters who love me, support me, and trust me behind these years in my ministry. These are the best support to me, a 5-star hospitality and the best support. Thanks to the Lord. Lastly, I wish we shall learn from Gaius. We may not be able to serve the Lord in foreign countries as strangers like some brothers and sisters. We may only be able to stay in our own place. Yet, what we can do is to welcome and support the brothers and sisters who go aboard for the Lord. It's so treasurable there was Gaius in the Bible. God has not forgotten the love and service of Gaius. His service is very essential as well, and John appreciates him. The brothers and sisters in the church appreciate him. My favorite is verse 5 and verse 6, the praising of John to Gaius. Verse 5 says, "Beloved, you do a faithful work in whatever you accomplish for those who are brothers and strangers." The word faithful, of course, is for the Lord. The object was the Lord himself. His service was to the Lord. Not only he has love, not only he loves brothers and sisters, but his faith in God. Verse 6 says, "They have testified about your love before the assembly." you will do well to send them forward on their journey in a way worthy of God. The service of Gaius was very crucial, for he helped the brothers and sisters to move forward. In other words, he helped the church to move forward, and hence he helped the will of the Lord to move forward. Thus, John continued to encourage us and encourage Gaius to support the brothers and sisters in verse 8, for it is a great help for the will of God to move forward as well. Each of us has the greatest part to play. Not only the brothers and sisters who go aboard are important, it is also important for those who support them. Verse 8 says, "We therefore ought to receive such, that we may be fellow workers for the truth." John said in verse 1, "The elder to Gaius the beloved, whom I love in truth." I just think, how can I not love such a brother? Surely you adore him. No wonder John said that Gaius was the one whom he loved in truth. In a time of darkness and chaos in the church, there was Gaius who upheld the truth, loved the church, and sacrificed himself to support brothers and sisters. Men are the lovers of self and even be the deviant in the last days. Yet there was a light in the darkness, and that was Gaius. Surely not only Gaius was the comfort of John, but rejoiced, and his joy was great. Let's take a look at verse 3. "For I rejoiced greatly when brothers came and testified about your truth, even as you walk in truth." Verse 4 says, "I have no greater joy than this, to hear about my children walking in truth." Not only John rejoiced, the greatest joy was in God. God sees his children, brothers and sisters in his house, loving one another, walking in the truth. They love one another according to the truth. The love is precise and in the likeness of the Lord. The heart of God is the happiest. If brothers and sisters treat one another with the love of God, can you imagine how blessed we are? We will all be the happiest. The heart of God and man will be the most satisfied. The third letter of John mentioned a man named Diotrephes, who might be a false teacher and a false prophet in the church. He was a bully in the church. He did not receive John and talked wicked nonsense against him. And that's not all. He stopped anyone who liked to welcome them, and he threw those who welcomed them out of the church. Truly, that was outrageous. As we can see that the situation in the church at that time was undesirable. John had to deal with this matter. That's why verse 10 says, "Therefore, if I come, I will call attention to its deeds which he does." Or maybe John liked to give them a hint of giving him a chance to repent. Although the spiritual situation in the church was in a mess, Gaius was there. Not only Gaius, but also another precious brothers, Demetrius. There were still brothers and sisters in the house of God who loved the Lord very much. They still stood in their own positions and stuck to their own posts in silence. Verse 12 mentioned, "Demetrius has the testimony of all, and of the truth itself." Yes, we also testified, and you know that our testimony is true. So there are still brothers and sisters in the house of God who love the Lord. Not only Gaius, not only Demetrius, but there are a lot more. As long as there are brothers and sisters who love the Lord, they continue to move forward. I record in the days of Elijah, God preserved 7,000 of those who love him at all times, and there is no exception at present. There are many precious brothers and sisters who love the Lord. Let us fulfill the will of God hand in hand. Have you noticed that this letter was written by John to Gaius? But John praised Demetrius before Gaius. Although he highly praised Gaius, in fact, he praised another man, Demetrius, in front of Gaius. Do you think Gaius would be jealous? Certainly not. The situation was similar to the time of Elijah. God told Elijah that he had left 7,000 for his own will. All the knees of them had not bowed to Baal. Not only Elijah was faithful, but the 7,000 were also faithful to God. Therefore, it was the encouragement in Gaius' heart for John praising Demetrius in his letter. It has shown that Gaius was not alone. Other brothers and sisters who loved the will of God and the house of God just like him, for they were willing to give to the house of God. Lastly, the verses remind me that I appreciate brothers and sisters and give them praises, not only in private, but in front of them. Not only in front of them, but in public. Praise the brothers and sisters who love the Lord in front of the church. There are many similarities between the third letter of John and the second letter of John. There were many unfinished words. John would rather not write with pen and ink, but talk to them face to face. That means there was fellowship. It has proven one thing, that it is important to be able to meet, to interact, for the souls to communicate with one another. We attended the gatherings online most of the time and didn't interact due to the pandemic. Sometimes we even didn't turn on the camera in Zoom. Technology does bring us convenience, but it can never replace our physical gatherings, the physical interactions and fellowships together with brothers and sisters to come before God. This is a real practice of loving one another earnestly. That's all for my sharing. I would like you to draw close to the Lord personally, which is the most precious moment that cannot be missed. May the Lord bless you.